Racing icon Juan Pablo Montoya says French squad Alpine will soon replace Jack Doohan with its highly rated reserve Franco Colapinto, with the Colombian stating it seems like a decision has already been taken. Doohan got his F1 debut in Abu Dhabi last year, but while he signed for 2025 over the break, so was Colapinto as reserve, following a standout 9-race stand-in at Williams. It's understood that Doohan has a 4 to 6 race probationary period, in which he must compare well with teammate Pierre Gasly or be replaced, but Montoya says it's inevitable. "I think it will happen," Montoya said. "I think Formula One saw how important Colapinto is and is already helping for that to happen." McLaren stole Williams' thunder last week, with the squad the first to get its 2025 car out in public via a surprise debut at the Silverstone circuit on Thursday, one day ahead of its British rival's launch. The MCL39, which featured a stunning orange camouflage look ahead of its 2025 livery reveal at F1's group launch this week, is an aggressive evolution of last year's Constructors' title winner. The squad, which wants to lift its performance to secure both F1 crowns this year, will have some help on that front from partner DP World, which earlier this month renamed 2 of its London key cranes to Oscar and Lando.
Incredible season, obviously, so a lot of great memories. I guess this is something else from a DP World side that will allow everyone to remember it for even longer. So, yeah, incredible. I thank them very much. I hope it's just the first of many, and for sure, I got to go see it at some point.
Staying with McLaren, where Lando Norris's teammate Oscar Piastri says he can become world champion this year, having addressed some of his weaknesses throughout 2024. The Australian, seeking to become the first of his nation to lift the driver's title since Alan Jones in 1980, is heading into his 3rd season on the grid and is expecting to have the car to win from the outset. Piastri says that he and Norris will also start the 25 season with a clean slate, having put any animosity from last year's on-track squabbles like Hungary and Italy behind them. But the 23-year-old will need to up his qualifying form to consistently be ahead of the rapid Norris for a shot at the crown, with the Brit ahead last season 21-3. "I'm confident," Piastri said. "I think we've still got some things to work on, and I'm definitely not the finished product, but I don't think anyone necessarily is." Michael Schumacher's name was in the news last week after 3 men, including a father and son, were charged with attempting to blackmail the 7-time F1 world champion. A German court heard that the perpetrators had attempted to extract $25 million in exchange for not releasing 900 photos, 600 videos, and medical records of Schumacher onto the dark web. The main defendant was jailed for 3 years, while his son was handed a 6-month suspended sentence and fine. A third man was given a 2-year suspended sentence. F1 returned to the streets of Adelaide last week, with the 2001 Jaguar R2 screaming through the city at night as part of a high-octane promotion for next month's Motorsport Festival. The classic V10-powered F1 car, which scored a podium at Monaco 2001, will be driven by New Zealander Andy Higgins at the event. The Jaguar was joined on the promo run by a Bugatti Bolide, which is the Rapid brand's track-only hypercar built around its iconic W16 engine, with a price tag of $4 million. The Adelaide Motorsport Festival will be held next month, March 8 and 9, with a whole host of classic F1 cars running on a modified, much shorter 1.6-kilometer section of the former Grand Prix circuit. Future F1 entrant Cadillac is considering whether to extend its partnership with Ferrari to include not just power units and gearboxes, but suspension as well, easing its path into the sport from 2026. Cadillac's entry as F1's 11th team was finally confirmed in November last year, more than a year after its original Andretti application to join the grid was approved by the FIA, but controversially rejected from gaining a commercial deal from Formula One. It's now set to enter the sport as a works constructor, backed by General Motors, but initially powered by Ferrari until the end of the decade, when it's promised to build its own American power units. Using Ferrari suspension would put Cadillac on par with rival US squad Haas, which buys everything it doesn't have to make. McLaren has bolstered its technical future with news that has extended the contract of its aero boss Peter Prodromou. The 56-year-old joined the Papaya team in 1991 and rose up to become chief aerodynamicist before switching to Red Bull in 2006. He returned to McLaren in 2014 as chief engineer before a promotion to technical director aerodynamics in a 2023 reshuffle. Prodromou is now set to stay with the British outfit long-term on a multi-year deal, with McLaren team boss Andrea Stella lauding his contribution. The journey we have been on together as a team we could not have done without Peter, and we look forward to continuing our quest of fighting for further world championships together, he said. Thirteen-time Grand Prix winner David Coulthard says that retired driver Daniel Ricciardo will need to return to the paddock soon if he wants to capitalize on his celebrity beyond being a driver. Ricciardo left the sport after last year's Singapore Grand Prix, capping a disappointing final run that included stints at both McLaren and Red Bull sister team VCARB turned Racing Bulls. But while Coulthard suggested that Ricciardo could race elsewhere, he also said he could be an asset to any F1 team or media. Though that window, he added, will only be open for a limited time. What I would recommend is that he doesn't think he can sort of take a year out and still be as interesting, Coulthard said. China could play a bigger part in the sport's future, with the FIA president Mohammed Ben Sulayem stating he'd like to see one of their car brands make the step up to become F1's 12th team. F1 is set for an 11th team from 2026 in Cadillac, but the UAE native said it's been his dream for the last 2 years that the big countries should have a presence in F1. And suggested China, with its proliferation of car manufacturers and population of 1.4 billion people, is ready for the chance. The United States will be with General Motors. The next step is to welcome a Chinese manufacturer. We already have a driver, he said. China's first F1 racer Zhou Guanyu is now a reserve driver for Ferrari, meaning he's open for future race seats. Four-time F1 world champion Sebastian Vettel is reportedly interested in making a sensational comeback to the grid, despite limited options in 2026. Vettel retired from F1 at the end of 2022, but while he's enjoyed various demonstration runs in Grand Prix cars, the German tested Porsche's 963 hypercar last year at Spain's Motorland Aragon.
It's a totally new experience. It's a closed car, first time with a roof. And it's also a new track, so there's also that element, but mostly it's getting familiar with all the tools in the car, with the steering wheel, how the car responds, how the car behaves. Obviously the weight is a big difference. So yeah, you quickly figure out it's a different animal, but then once you start to get in the rhythm, it's quite nice to get on top of things and try to squeeze out a little bit more.
Vettel's main shot at returning to F1 would be with new entrant Cadillac, though it's understood that IndyCar driver Colton Herta and ex-Red Bull racer Sergio Perez are top candidates. Thanks for watching. To stay up to speed on all things Formula One, make sure you hit the subscribe button.